Welcome back to Welsh Miniature Board Gamer, and today I'm going to do an instructional and sort of general overview of this TT Combat or TT Scenics construction office. Now it cost me £3.56 at my local gaming store. So let's crack this open and have a look at what we get. So as you can imagine, for £3.56 you get one sheet of MDF. But I still think this is a decent enough price, and I got no problem with paying £3.56 for a bit of scenery. So tools we're going to need a file, a knife, maybe some clippers, and PVA glue. So first things first, we have to pop all these pieces of MDF out. Now the bigger ones, I am just pulling them out. Probably best to use a knife to cut them out, but I pull them out with the bigger ones. I'm not that worried about them breaking. And then you have to clean up all the tabs by popping them out, like so. Make sure that all the edges are nice and clean and smooth, so that things fit together nicely once they're all glued together. So again, popping out all the little tabs, making sure they're all out. And then I found a piece of rough edge, so I'm going to sand it down with my file, like so. Now if you're doing a lot of MDF sanding, I suggest you wear a mask and maybe do it outside. MDF isn't that brilliant for you to breathe in, so if you're going to be doing a lot, it's best that you wear a mask or something. Obviously this is a very small kit and I'm holding it quite far away from me, so I'm not actually flicking up much dust anywhere, so I'm not going to be breathing it in. So yeah, I'll take the risk with this. It's up to you whether you do the same. So now we're onto this front piece that I popped out, and the door is in it. So now it would be a good time for you to decide whether you want to keep your door in or whether you want to have it removable. If you want it removable, push it out now. I didn't, and really I should have done that to begin with, because it would have made things a little bit easier. When popping out these smaller pieces, I suggest you cut around them first with a knife to make sure that they come out without too much force. You don't want to snap these things. If you do break like a layer of the MDF off the top, don't worry about it too much. You'll still be able to make the kit without much problems. Just make sure that you clean up any pieces to make sure they're nice and clean and the lines are straight, etc. And there's nothing going to obstruct it when you glue it together. Now when using a knife, obviously be careful, do all your knife tricks of keeping yourself safe, because knives unusually are sharp. So you might want to keep some of these little odd pieces that come off the kit, you might want to stick them to something at some point. They're interesting pieces and may be used as some sort of decoration later on something. So all in all, this kit took me 20 minutes to put together, which that's with me filming it, etc. So it might take you a lot less time, but as you would have thought, it's a nice easy kit to start with. A good beginner kit really for anyone who doesn't really know how to make MDF kits. So again, filing all the pieces down to make sure there's nice clean parts. So next we're going to put these bases into the slots at the bottom of the floor. Now they can generally just be pushed through. If you're having any troubles, you can always taper the tab a little bit to make it a little bit easier to guide in. Now I didn't glue these pieces in because once you force them in, they're in really tight and I don't see them coming out for any reason. Like so. And it stands up nicely. Okay, so first of all we're going to find the front. Now if you've taken the door out, all well and good. If you wanted to keep it out so then it'd be removable, If you want to make this just a permanent structure, which no one goes in, then glue it like I'm doing it now. Otherwise, make sure you've popped the door out before you glue the base to the wall. So on the second piece here, we're gluing the bottom again, and we're gluing the sides that they're going to be connected to. One, this front, and the back of the wall. As you start putting more pieces on, obviously the structure is going to start getting some rigidity and it'll start leaning on each other. So it starts getting easier as you go on. So just sort of get these in place for now. And as we put more walls on, it'll start getting some structure. Now I just realised that I'm starting to glue the door in place here and I didn't want it to. So I just pop it out now, which, you know, could have been worse if I had noticed it later and it had been glued in place. So on the back wall, I'm doing, again, both sides and the tab part, and also the bottom. So any overspill that you have when you do connect these pieces, I suggest you either rub it with your finger into the join, which will give it some extra strength, like I'm doing here, or wipe it with a damp brush or something just to clear it away, because otherwise it'd be quite unsightly and there'd be like a little ridge or something when it's dried. Personally, I think rub it in with your finger, because you rub it in to the joins and it gives it just that little bit of extra support and glue contact. So here it is, I've glued all 4 walls together. Just give them a little squeeze, make sure everything's nice and square, wipe all the excess glue off, and that's nice and square. Now if you have any troubles with these walls standing together, use elastic bands to hold it rigid around it, if you've got a big enough elastic band, and that should do it well. My glue's holding it well enough, so I didn't have to bother. Now I will say, using PVA, use either DIY PVA or wood glue or something like that. School white glue isn't really strong enough, so I suggest you use these. So with these fiddlier parts, I am dry fitting it and seeing if it fits correctly. I've just noticed, see, I forgot to knock a tab out, so I'm glad I did that now before I've glued it. So I get my glue and I start putting it into the little tabs on the edge of each step, and then slide it into the banister, like so. I do that with both pieces, both steps rather. Like so. Now lining them up is a bit fiddly, you just, you know, move it around until it actually finally finds the slot. Again, you could taper it, but it should fit quite nicely. So I'm going to do that. Now I'm going to glue it in place. You could have let it dry as is, but I'm going to glue it in place to give it that extra bit of support against the building. Now I love these little MDF kits. I could make this from foam core, of course I could. But I find these sort of stronger, and you don't have to worry about that sort of foam texture that's in between each piece of the card. You know, and it's cheap. You know, I honestly don't want to waste my time building this when I can building an building a foam core version of this when I can just build an MDF one for this price. It seems pointless, really. So yeah, just make sure that you've cleaned away any of the excess glue to make sure it's nice and clean. Then I'm going to put the roof on just to give it that extra stability and strength. Now make sure you haven't got any glue on the lid or on the walls, because if you have, you're going to glue this roof down and it's going to be a pig to get it off later. They're quite tight, the tabs. You might want to shave a bit off if you want to make them fit a bit easier. But really with a bit of pushing you'll get it in place, like so. So just to show you, here's what it looks like with the door in place. And that's it, we got ourselves a construction office. I really like this kit and I think it's well worth the price. So yeah, if you've liked this video, please leave a like or a comment and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But until next time, this is Welsh Miniature Board Gamer. Goodbye. Oh, I nearly forgot actually, I'm just adding this on to the end of it. The measurements for this building is 4.5 centimeters long, inches long, sorry, by 2.5 inches long, by 3 inches high. So again, until next time, goodbye.